It's a bit of a contradiction talking about silence, but it's so important. Perhaps first, let's talk a little bit about definitions. So, when we see someone is socially isolated or isolating, it's an objective observation, so we can see someone are on their own. But this can either be a positive experience or a negative experience. A negative experience is when the person would perceive it as sad or distressing to be on their own. That is called loneliness. However, on the other hand, being on your own might be a positive, intentional action, and that is called solitude. Now, solitude can have a lot of benefits. Often after trauma, after high stress times, or even when we need to reflect and be creative, it gives us that emotional space to process, to incubate thoughts or creative ideas, and also to reflect. To be a positive experience, there should be 4 criteria met, which I called the sits of solitude. So solitude sits comfortably. Firstly, it's a safe place. You know that there's a way out of here. You know it is something that's under your control. You choose to do so, and you know that you still have help outside, so it's safe. Secondly, it's intentional. It's not forced on you to be on your own. It's something that you choose to do, purposefully, as mentioned, to reflect or to process or to find meaning. Thirdly, it's time-bound. So it doesn't stay an open-ended space where you sit and ruminate with your thoughts. It is really you afford yourself the time. Maybe it's 2 hours, or maybe it's 2 days, or a weekend retreat, or even a week. But it's time-bound and time-limited. And fourthly, you know that there's support available. You are connected. Your friends know that you are voluntarily choosing to be on your own for the purpose of solitude and reflection. So it is safe, intentional, time-bound, and support is available. However, we need to talk about the red flags of being on your own. When it becomes a protracted period of time, it can have negative consequences. We as human beings are made to be connected, are made to be social, and it's protective for our health, for our mental well-being, and it's positively correlated with resilience. So when you enter the space where you are staying on your own for a protracted period of time, where you start to ruminate, when there's negative thought spirals, when you start to feel useless, hopeless, guilty, worthless, or even that life doesn't have meaning anymore, that is all red flags. That can be a symptom of depression, or it can just mean you're really not in a good space and you need to deliberately reconnect. Now, when you find yourself in that lonely, alone space, it's sometimes difficult to get out of it. But sometimes it just requires a WhatsApp or a phone call. However, it's also a call and a reminder to you to notice other people's loneliness. When they are on their own, it might not be deliberate and by choice. They might be socially isolating because they're not in a good space. So reach out to people, especially if you see that they stay on their own or socially isolated and they do not have connections. Build that bridge, reach out, send a message. It just needs a conversation or a word of care and kindness to possibly change and build that bridge and help people not to be alone. So silence is not always golden.